captures, looking at population structure for population. This concept of this is to look at what do population pyramids tell us about the population of an area. Okay, you can be assessed on this in a variety of different ways. So we're going to dive straight in, look at a range of different characteristics. So we need to understand what population pyramids are, and we need to understand their implications for future growth, both economic development and social policies of a country. And obviously we look at the implications in regards to Japan in our next screencast. So here is a typical population pyramid. This is a population pyramid for India in the year 2000. This is a classic pyramid structure. You do not get many countries like this anymore. What we notice at the bottom, massively wide base, okay? Huge numbers in the 0 to 4 category and 5 to 9 category, okay? This indicates a very high birth rate in this area. This drop off, by the way, that you get between the 0 to 4 and the 5 to 9, that indicates that they've got quite a high infant mortality as well, because they're losing roughly, when you add both sides up, around 10 million people in that category every year, which is quite a lot. Okay, so you need to understand a range of different pyramids. Now, the pyramid on the screen at the moment is for Tanzania, and it looks at its changes over time from 2000 to 2025 to 2050, and this is the classic pyramid for an LIC. Very wide base indicating high birth rate, very narrow top indicating high death rate and very low life expectancy. Also tells us a lot about the fact that there is a large level of dependency on a youthful population, and this is a population where there's a high percentage of people under the age of 16. The contrast to this is this one, and this is the UK, and this is both today and going into the future, and the UK has and will have in the future even more significantly an ageing population or an elderly population. And this is a population where there is a high percentage of people over the age of 65. Key indicators of this that we can see on this pyramid: well, number one, very narrow bottom, okay, indicates a low birth rate. Quite wide in the middle in the year 2000 indicates that there is a high level of people who are of a working age, and then it's still very fat at the top and goes a long way up as well. This indicates a high life expectancy and a very low death rate all at the same time. Okay, infant mortality in this instance as well is fairly insignificant. So there's lots of different things which we can see on these pyramids. Now, these are our classic types. We have ranging from our LIC over here to our HIC over here. Now, the United States is also an HIC, but one of the things that's happening with its population is it's slowly growing, and a slow growth rate, it tends to mean it has straighter sides compared to the HIC. Okay, and these are our three classic pyramids, so LIC, HIC, and then this is sometimes classified as an NIC. More typically, this growth is associated with countries such as South Korea and things like that, where you've got the very slow growth, but it's not aging at this point in time. Key things you need to know. Well, a population pyramid tells us a lot of things. It tells us the information about birth rate, death rate, life expectancy. It tells us about the dependency ratio, i.e. the two groups of dependents, the young dependents and the elderly dependents, and it tells us how many of those are dependent on the economically active. Now, the language which I've just used there is important. Examiners like to see dependent, economically active. It enables you to show what they're thinking. Then key things, many LICs or LEDCs have a high number of young dependents, whereas many MEDCs have a number of elderly dependents. So, there are a few exam questions on this, and this is the typical kind of questions that you can get. Okay, which level of development best describes pyramid A? Give a reason for your answer, justifying why. And then it says describe the shape of pyramid B. Now, for this instance, we're going to use the same pyramid on the left. Okay, so you need to describe the shape of the pyramid, and for some reason I've put this question in 3 times, but the principle of it remains the same. Pause the video and answer the questions based on what you can see. So, kind of things you should be getting. Number one, you would be expected to say that pyramid A is indicating of an LIC or a low income country. Okay, reasons for this: has a very high birth rate, and it has a very low life expectancy and a high death rate. Now, The key thing you need to say there is you need to justify why. You need to say it's got a high birth rate due to it having a very wide base, or it's got a very high death rate due to it having a very narrow top. Okay, now if you're asked to describe the shape of the pyramid, very straightforward. We've done lots of description based questions over this before. What you need to be doing is considering your use of data. So you're going to say it's got a wide base with just over 32 million in the 0 to 5 category. Then it has a very goes increasingly narrow. For instance, at the age of 30 category, it's got roughly around 1 million, and then you work from there. So you just use the data. I said 6.16 million earlier. It's actually 1.6, so it's 3.2 million in total, and I apologise for that. So you can see the general gist and you describe the trend. You must use data when you're asked to describe the shape of anything. Okay, and that ends this screencast.